Welcome to this explainer of the CELPIP Speaking Masterclass. Okay, let's dive right into this because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Today, we are kicking off an intensive bilingual bootcamp designed to completely demystify CELPIP Speaking Task 1. Now, if you're targeting that elusive CLB 9+ score, and I know you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to strictly march through exactly 10 mandatory case studies sequentially from start to finish. And we'll be using a very specific 4-pillar structural matrix for every single prompt. That means we're looking at precise vocabulary definitions with concise Chinese translations, the unique Canadian cultural context, specific exam strategies, and of course, high-scoring test day walkthroughs. The frameworks you'll learn today literally map out everything you need to succeed. So grab your notebooks, get focused, and let's conquer these frameworks together. So here is our exact battle plan for today. Number 1, work, pets, and fitness. 2, housing, travel, and time. 3, neighbors and used cars. And 4, screen time and networking. Let's just jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, Work, Pets, and Fitness, Navigating Everyday Scenarios.
Okay, for our very first prompt, the job interview, you need precise lexical anchors, right? First, you got to advise your nervous friend to tailor their resume and research the company culture, or 企业文化. You see, in the Canadian workplace, cultural fit and core values are often prioritized just as highly as technical skills. It's a huge deal here. Second, tell them to do mock interviews. That's 模拟面试, basically a simulated practice run. Have them record themselves to really evaluate their body language. And finally, just tell them to get a good night's sleep to stay calm. Structurally, you want to smoothly link these on test day, like this. First, you should research their core values. Secondly, try a mock interview to check your body language. And finally, prioritize a good night's sleep. Boom, perfect flow. Building right into prompt 2, pet adoption. So a coworker wants a dog, but works long hours and lives in a small apartment. Listen, this is a classic Canadian urban scenario. Think about those long commutes and tiny downtown condos in Toronto or Vancouver. Your advice needs to hit 3 points perfectly. First, highlight that this is a long-term commitment, a chunky changnua. It is definitely not a casual decision. Suggest they hire a dog walker if they're going to be out all day. Second, point out the cramped space. A cramped tiny apartment is just not ideal for an active dog. Finally, offer some brilliant alternatives. Maybe suggest they foster a pet first or adopt a low-maintenance cat. By the way, using a compound adjective like low maintenance is a massive boost for your vocabulary score. Moving sequentially to prompt 3, health and fitness. A family member wants to get fit but absolutely hates the gym. Here's your framework. Step 1, incorporate it into your daily routine. Suggest they take the stairs or go for a brisk walk. Step 2, try home workouts, specifically bodyweight exercises using online videos. And step 3, this is crucial, pick up an outdoor hobby. Think about the Canadian summer. Literally everyone is outside. Suggest cycling or hiking so that working out doesn't feel like a chore or a fudan. Fudan? Using the word chore for a tedious task, that showcases high-level natural fluency. Evaluators love that.
All right, moving on to Section 2, Housing, Travel, and Time, Strategic Life Choices. Prompt 4 compares renting downtown versus the suburbs. You need to build a high-scoring comparative answer based on real Canadian urban realities. So, downtown offers a vibrant nightlife, 丰富的夜生活, and super easy access to amenities. But out in the suburbs, you get a peaceful and quiet environment with much more spacious houses. You must, however, warn them about the downsides, right? Living in the suburbs means dealing with a brutal rush hour commute. Plus, they're likely going to need a car, which skyrockets their overall cost of living, or 生活成本. Use these exact comparative phrases on test day to really stand out. Now for travel planning, your score really hinges on high-level idioms like off the beaten path. This means venturing away from popular, crowded tourist traps to explore less-known places, or 避开热门景点, what we often call hidden gems. Using an idiom like off the beaten path naturally in your response, that is exactly what CELPIP evaluators are listening for when they're deciding between an 8 and a 9. It's a total game changer. So let's look at prompt 5. Your friend is visiting your city for a week. So let's string these pillars together. First, advice on clothing. Tell them to dress in layers. This is absolutely essential advice for surviving Canadian weather, where it can literally be freezing in the morning and warm by noon. Also, add comfortable walking shoes to that list. Second, exploration. Here is where you drop our idiom, telling them to go off the beaten path to find those hidden gems. Third, local customs. Remind them to familiarize themselves with the public transit system and, very importantly, the Canadian tipping culture. Stringing these 3 pillars together creates a flawless, culturally accurate response. Arriving at prompt 6, time management. Your friend is balancing a master's degree, full-time work, and family. It's a lot, so your advice needs clear structure. Bullet 1. Tell them to use time blocking, 时间规划, to set realistic boundaries. Time blocking is just the act of scheduling dedicated, uninterrupted chunks of time for specific tasks. Bullet 2. They need to build a strong support system with their boss and family. And bullet 3. Warn them to prevent burnout or 职业倦怠 by explicitly scheduling quality time for themselves to avoid exhaustion. Trust me, using these precise terms shows deep vocabulary control.
Section 3 already. Neighbors and used cars. Practical problem solving. Let's keep the momentum going. Okay, for Prompt 7's neighbor dispute over loud music, we use an escalating framework. You must handle this politely but effectively. Step 1, start with a friendly approach. Maybe suggest a face-to-face chat or leaving a polite note. Step 2, escalate to the property manager or the strata, the 物业管理委员会. Now, strata is a highly specific Canadian term referring to the condo or building management board, and using it earns you massive points for local context. Step 3, as an absolute last resort, tell them to look up the local noise bylaw, or 噪音管理条例, and file a formal complaint. This 1-2-3 escalation is perfectly logical and highly structured. Moving right along to Prompt 8, buying a used car. Your colleague has zero experience with vehicles. First, tell them to get a vehicle history report to check for past accidents. Second, strongly advise them to hire an independent mechanic for a pre-purchase inspection, 购前检查. This phrase is so vital to protect against hidden mechanical issues. Finally, suggest buying a certified pre-owned car, or 认证二手车, often abbreviated as just CPO. CPO cars come from dealerships with verified inspections and way better warranties. Armed with this exact vocabulary, you are going to sound like an absolute expert giving top-tier advice. And we're at the final section. Section 4, Screen Time and Networking, Modern Social Dynamics. Prompt 9 targets a very modern issue, reducing screen time to improve sleep and productivity. First up, suggest creating physical boundaries. Tell them to leave the phone outside the bedroom to avoid blue light before bed. Second, implement digital limits. Tell your friend to disable push notifications, 关闭推送通知, and actually set a daily limit for apps. Third, recommend a complete digital detox, 数字排毒. To actually execute this detox, they should pick up a new hobby to replace what we call mindless scrolling. Honestly, structuring your advice from immediate phone settings all the way to long-term lifestyle changes shows incredible logical flow to the examiner. Finally, Prompt 10, networking. Your friend is attending a formal business event and is terrified of talking to strangers. We've all been there. Step 1, tell them to prepare a 30-second elevator pitch, a 简短推介, to introduce themselves confidently. Step 2, shift the pressure off them by focusing on listening. Have them use a simple icebreaker or 破冰话题 to ease the tension and just ask open-ended questions to be an active listener. Step 3, the crucial follow-up. In Canadian professional culture, you absolutely must exchange contact info and immediately connect on LinkedIn. Giving this culturally relevant, highly specific professional advice is literally the ultimate way to close out your speaking task. And just like that, we've systematically marched through all 10 prompts. We've anchored the exact vocabulary bilingually, layered in the Canadian contexts, mapped out the strategies, and simulated the structures. So the ultimate question is this. You now have the exact frameworks for 10 distinct CELPIP prompts. How will you adopt these 4 pillars to conquer your next unpredictable test day scenario? Remember, mastering these structural matrices is your definitive blueprint for securing that CLB 9+. Keep practicing these exact frameworks. Visualize the strategies on test day, and you will absolutely crush it. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep up the focused learning.